Welcome everybody to this LinkedIn Live session. I'm Alaoblos, co-founder and CEO at Apgar. This session is the first episode from a series called In the Shoes of CDAOs. It's a show open to everybody. So whether you are a data pro or not, if you are a CDAO or not, you are welcomed. The concept is to interview CDAOs, discuss their priorities, understand their priorities, discuss the underlying challenges that they are facing and how they achieve to deliver value to their organizations. In today's session, we will start first by focusing on the priorities. Then we will discuss the topic of data culture. I can even say a pain point of data culture within organization. It has been there for a long time, but it started to be introduced or to be pointed out only recently. So it became a trend. And like any trend, we need to understand it and position ourselves about it. And I think this discussion today will help us a lot in that direction because we will talk about a real case scenario at Servier. So please join me in welcoming my guests, Sophie.
Hello.
Welcome, Sophie. Frédéric.
Hello.
Welcome, Frédéric. To our audience, please. You feel free to ask questions during the session, and I'll be asking them to our guests either during the session or at the end. Sophie, could you please introduce yourself and your role?
Yes, so I'm working at Servier, a French pharmaceutical company, which is dedicated to the discovery of new medicines for patients with very serious disease. My role is Chief Data Officer for Research and Development, and I have the privilege to support a big transformation program which has been launched in Servier R&D for several years now. And in this position, my role is to define and implement the data strategy, head the data governance, and also the data acculturation. I am pharmacist by training. I was also graduated in computer science and quality management. And throughout my career, I have worked for data management activities and things related, and always in a vision to help researchers better use data for their performance.
Okay, very good. Thank you. What about you, Frédéric?
So I'm Frédéric Robert. I'm director at Apgar in charge of the data advisory business line. So looking at topics like data architecture, data governance, and data literacy. It's been now 15 years I'm in the data space, helping and supporting customers in different industries on all their data journey.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, Sophie, what are the main data priorities at Servier?
For Servier R&D. I will. Well, our data priorities are really aligned with the business objectives of the R&D, which are reducing the time to market to accelerate the delivery for patients and improving what we call the probability of success of our therapeutic projects. So to serve these objectives with data, what we have done is to scan, I would say, all the life cycle of R&D, identify where were the bottlenecks or critical points, and define use cases that could unlock these bottlenecks in these different critical points. So we have started to execute this roadmap of use cases, and we have quickly realized that, in fact, the limiting factor was the data access. So indeed, today, our main priority in Servier R&D is to facilitate the access to the data.
Okay. Frédéric, does this resonate with your own experience? Anything that you'd like to add?
Yeah, clearly what we see now is in terms of priorities, chief data officers are expected to deliver results. We are assisting at the third generation of chief data officers, from previous CIOs and compliance officer to then people entering in the realm of data to very, very dedicated people in data management and data analytics. Also, one point is we are seeing is the spectrum is extending from data management to the full data and analytics, including a lot of AI.
Okay, and by the way, talking about AI, we are hearing more and more AI-ready data. It's a nice term, definitely nice term, but then people might think, oh, how is it different from data preparation, for instance? Can you tell us more about that?
First, we need to kill that myth about AI or Gen AI don't need good data. In fact, like master data management for BI or reporting and dashboarding, AI and Gen AI need good data to work well, but also a lot of good metadata to make sure they provide enough good algorithm, good output of those algorithms to serve the business usage. So it's very key to enforce good data preparation, good data governance to make sure you have good metadata and good business definition.
Okay. Sophie, you talked about data culture. Why is it an important, critical topic for Servier R&D?
Well, indeed, I think that it's because now data is really everyone's business. Before, you could consider that data was the concern of specialized departments, data management, biostatisticians, bioinformaticians, or modelers. But nowadays, as technology advances, in fact, everyone in the company generates or uses data from any department, and this data can be used to take decisions. So, whereas the maturity levels of the people are different, we really need to have a common language in order to be to be able to understand each other. And that's very important for every people in the company. The second thing is that, in fact, while decisions are more and more data-driven, if you work in a team and you don't understand what data is at stake for the decision or what flows it follows until the end decision, then you will be lost. And it will also impact the collaborative work of the team. So it's also important for the global performance of the teams, and especially in therapeutic projects.
Okay, that's clear. So what are the actions that you have taken to enrich, to improve the data and AI culture at Servier R&D?
Yes. So we have started, in fact, already 5 years ago with a big data-driven program for R&D. At that time, the first thing we did was to write and spread what we call the data charter for R&D. This was a real change in the mindset, because the main thing that we changed there was to open the way we were working with data. Before, people were very attached to the quality of their data, but only for their projects. Whereas from that time, the management told it's the property of the company, but so you should share the data. That was really something, a very big change in the mindset. Then in this program, it was a very inspirational program. So we made a lot of meetups, webinars, and various types of events in order to show the new tools, the new processes, and also the successes that people had with the use of data approaches. So it was easier for impacting, in fact, their colleagues. Mm-hmm. And yes, of course, there, in terms of training, we also set up at that time a training program adapted to all the employees, so with 3 levels, basics, and so on. And it became a data academy now.
Okay, very good. Frederic, we have a lot of experience supporting a lot of companies in that area. So anything you'd like to add about this approach?
Yeah, sure. The first thing is we need to acknowledge the fact it's hard to engage business people. They don't have any IT background, they don't have any data tooling background, and it's hard to transfer expertise knowledge to business people that have no idea of that technology stacks and what's happening. Also, what is important is to define clear objectives with them in their day-to-day activities that should be fully included in their jobs, so they are aligned with that culture, with that knowledge we transfer to them.
Sophie, I've seen a lot of data initiatives, including data culture programs. Starting at the beginning, they are really going well. Everybody is enthusiastic about it, and then it fades away with time. So did you, on your side, what did you do? Anything you have discovered that allow to maintain this motivation around those topics?
Well, I think there is no magic recipe there. What I have observed is, in fact, that people are very interested, in fact, and that's true that throughout our meetups that are, in fact, monthly meetings, I was surprised that there were so many people coming on a long time. But nevertheless, when you consider, for example, communities, that's true that with the time, people are less in a momentum. So what we have observed is that something which is really important is that you interest them, showing, for example, the advances of a main objective for the business. So, for example, with our data owners community, this is really the communication channel to show them where we are on the objective of facilitating the access to data. So this is a way to maintain the interest. And last thing, I think that anyway, because people are also progressing, I don't think you can really maintain the same kind of program more than 2 years. I think that people are progressing, and every 2 years you have to change or adapt because they have also progressed.
Okay. So, Frederic, we have done, even together actually, some assessment to organizations, data maturity assessment to organizations. And I can recall we were discovering that they weren't allocating enough time to those topics, data culture, governance, and so on. Anything that you would like to highlight in that matter?
Yes. So it's important first to include those activities in their day-to-day job. It's not an evening job or a weekend job. It needs to be fully acknowledged in their job description, within their job titles, as their responsibility within their role. They are supporting data analytics initiative and data governance and literacy around all. Also, what is important, it's to provide this recognition to the people, and also it's a great opportunity to have data skills because it's very important. Basically, you can get more salary having data skills on the market. So it's a very big addition to be business, but also to be able to use data, to govern data, or to manage data project.
Mm-hmm. And Sophie, so you explained the actions that you have worked on, but what are the tools, resources that you use to implement those actions?
Various. In fact, we use at first for the literacy aspect and vocabulary, if I can say, we use a data catalog to share all the definitions related to the domains. We also have, of course, an internal web portal to give access to some guidances and processes, and we have e-learnings. But now, more and more, we are also organizing workshops in which we try to introduce gamification. That was the case for the data governance in the last month, for example. It will be the case for data visualization when we will support people being more autonomous.
And you see gamification as helping, actually? They are more enthusiastic?
For sure, yeah. Maybe it's more attractive anyway, yeah.
Very good.
And maybe we also use something for the top management. In fact, we have organized also conferences by peers, but coming from outside, so that they can be inspired also by their peers from not only in Serbia.
Nice. And what are the expectations from stakeholders? And even your own expectation from this data culture program?
Yeah, good question, because indeed that's not easy to quantify what objective we could reach, in fact. So the expectations of my management, of course, is that in fact the projects are running well. So that there is no more concern with data. And that is also my expectation. Indeed, in fact, there are different things I would like to achieve. First, that I don't hear anymore that there is a problem with data through the project, or that people come and can explain where is the problem because they know how the data flows are working, for example. First thing. Second thing, an interesting signal could be I would not hear anymore wow effects from people coming from the outside and telling me I have seen something tremendous outside, but in fact we also do that internally. So that would be a sign that we have good communicated if I don't, hear this kind of things. And yes, and the last thing which is very important is, a good sign is when the manager, in fact, is able to reuse some vocabulary dedicated to data. For example, as our priority was about data centralization and facilitation of access, I was really amazed when the manager of the R&D explained to all the employees that one of our objectives was about data ingestion. That is progressing in the level of what they are able to explain.
I can give you one indicator of success. It's the number of people that you work with that are watching this LinkedIn Live. If there is a big number, then it's a big success. Frederic, to you, by the way, the tricky question, sorry for that, about ROI and how really to measure the success. Anything that you can explain to us?
ROI is really almost impossible to really calculate. If you want to calculate ROI, you need to almost have every cost and every revenue you are generating due to data. And the second difficulty we are seeing also is really hard to get the business strategy concretely from our customer. So how is it hard to map and align data objective with business strategy objectives with concrete action to support the idea that your program is helping your business? So it's really important to have that chain reaction of data initiative, data project, creating actions that are helping to complete data objectives, and those data objectives are helping to achieve business objectives. And without that mapping and lineage, it will be very hard to demonstrate value and achieve success on that. So I would really focus on concrete action aligned to business objective to make sure data product and data initiative achieve something.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you. And another question to you. So let's say in the audience there are some CDAOs that are convinced actually of the importance of data culture programs, and they would like to launch this within their organization. So any advice that you would give them, and especially, in your opinion, what is the first action that they should be taking?
So especially on the data literacy topics, you need to find a data initiative, a data product, where the literacy will provide value, will provide support, change management, and engage communication around it to make sure we are starting small and expanding around that common language we are trying to do with data literacy. So that would be for me the first step. Find the right data use case where we can get on for expanding our data literacy program.
And other advices in general that you would give?
And of course, it's to be pragmatic and concrete. We need to be opportunistic. We still need to provide some vision of where we want to go, trying to adapt, but also not throwing away what we have done, taking into account what already we have in hand to be sustainable in the way to do data.
Okay. Same question to you, Sophie. So, reminder of the question. So, what advice for CDAOs launching this, and especially adding to those advice this particular action that they can start with?
So I will take again one point from Frederic, which is in fact that the first thing to do is to propose a strategy which is really aligned to the business objectives. For example, each time we identify some use case or an action, even with data literacy, we really check that it will be useful for the therapeutic projects. So that is really important to show the value of our actions. So that is really an important point. Second point is absolutely to have the sponsorship of top management. So you have to seek for that. And yes, the third point is not to be in a hurry. It will take time anyway, this kind of action for data literacy and improve the data culture. And so
how much time?
Frankly, I was expecting maybe less than 2 years, but now I can consider that it is around 5.
What I always tell to my customer is once you put your finger into the data world, it's a long journey and a continuous journey.
Yeah. And last point, which is maybe not the most complex thing to do, but very impactful, is to be a very good friend of the communication department manager to tackle the good targets you want to address.
Okay, so
and the good channels.
Identifying those targets and communicate a lot around them. This is your point.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
And how to address them. To be sure to target.
Okay, so I'll take a question from the audience. How does Servier and pharma in general, actually, in your opinion, in this case, source important data to solve those bottlenecks you mentioned? And what's the weight of academic data, CROs, and what's the tendency? So, very long question.
How we source the data, important data?
Source important data to solve those bottlenecks that you were talking about.
That's a very wide question indeed. In fact, in general, the bottlenecks are related to process owners. And so these process owners are the experts to identify where we can find the relevant data outside. And then we have a centralized process, in fact, to try and acquire this data. So with legal aspects, negotiation in terms of purchasing and so on. And then to ingest the data in order to use them and in our use cases. I don't know if I really answered there. And this can be either commercial data or academic data that we can sometimes access through consortium or sometimes also public available data.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But it still needs to be very careful managed. That's important. In fact, it has been a key point in the process that we have established in order to facilitate data access. Because, in fact, sometimes before the acculturation, people were not aware that they were not they were not allowed to use and reuse external data. So that's an important topic that we have addressed in the process.
I have another question also from the audience, back about measuring the success. So the question is, how do you measure success? And you can communicate about it, especially when you work with people that are not really aware around data analytics topics. So
questions for me? Or
so I guess you can start, Frederic.
Again, in terms of valorization, it's important to support them and to tell them when they are doing the right job and when they need to be supported. And clearly, we need to be able to formalize those actions clearly and to make sure they're checked. Because a clear objective also at the personal level will always enable him to do better his job because he knows he needs to achieve that for this end of year performance review, for example. And if we are able to see all the action we have for each and every people of the data team and the business team, or basically all the action we are trying to achieve as a data objective and the program overall, we know we are completing the business objective. So making sure that we don't do opposite action. We are in line with our objectives, and everybody is in line to that trajectory that is being as a strategy for the data office.
Okay.
Now there is also one measurement, which is the adoption of what is delivered in terms of data products or use cases also. So if the data literacy and communication is good, then you should have at least sustained use and maybe wider use at the end.
Okay, very clear. A question about now the actions and the approach that you were describing to us. Question from the audience: how is that impacted by the different persona that you are working with in the company?
That's true. In fact, what I have described is rather for all the employees in R&D, so that are not the experts. So we have different approaches. When we come to the experts, in fact, they have specialized trainings, but also they share their experience and develop their skills through the communities that have been set up for data managers, for data owners, and data scientists, for example. And when it comes to top management, then we have two approaches: learning experience, which is what I maybe just mentioned about visiting outside sites or conferences, but also we offer also then some specific and individual data coaching so that they can discover what we discover, or also just learn what they do not know yet and that they would like to know better. So that's very powerful.
And in your opinion, which of those personas you are able really, to change something for them, or you feel they are really enthusiastic more than the others? Is there a particular persona that you can identify that?
Well, I think in fact when I said top management, in general, there are also data sponsors, and we really see individually more easily that it impacts them or not. Now, through the communities, that's interesting also, but they rather really learn together. And I don't see if I have really, or the animator have really an added value. That's not easy to see because we are not bringing technical skills there. We are just animating the communities, and they share, in fact, the technical advances.
But it's already great, actually, to have the top management enthusiastic about it, because usually in other organizations, this is one big challenge for CDAOs. So that's really great. Frederic, to you. So a question from the audience: what correlation do you see between the arrival of AI and data culture topics?
It's really key. We see with the arrival of AI a lot of change at the personal level, but also at the company level. Everybody is inclined to use AI, so we need to support them in a good way to use those AI tools you find everywhere now. So it's very important also they know where the data come from when using an AI. It's sourced within your ecosystem and so on. And it needs to help, but it won't solve any problem. So we need to be able to find the proof of where it's coming. We need to also be critics about what is coming from those tools, and to always rely of what's on the ground on site. So be able to be curious about looking back from the source data we have to see if the AI was wrong or not.
Okay, very clear. Thank you. So before we ramp up, Sophie, I would like to go back a bit in the discussion to when you were talking about data accessibility. I can understand why it's important. I mean, even if you are successful with a data academy or data culture program, even if you have a very nice tools and technologies, but data is not accessible to people, then nothing will happen really. Yeah. So what are the actions that you are taking on your side regarding this challenge of data accessibility, which is, you were telling us, it's a main priority for you?
Yes, absolutely. And we have started, in fact, several months ago now. So we have at first listed all the data sources that were appearing to be important for the researchers. Then we have associated data owners to define how this data should be managed and easily accessible. And then we have also organized a kind of a prioritization based on the value that will be added by the data which will be ingested at first. And after that, we have clarified the roles and responsibilities with our partners in what we call at Servier the DDIS, and so with the data engineers, tech leads, and so on, and with the meet with the data owners and data managers in R&D. And really, we have, I'm quite proud of the process that is now on track. It's a long way still ahead of us, but really the process is well defined, well appreciated, and monitored.
But also, it's a long-term
It's a long-term, and it will serve the therapeutic projects. We are really also attentive to that point that in terms of priorities, we serve the therapeutic projects, which are the most the most important for us.
And then this one must be easier to measure its success also, if compared, to just the data culture topic.
Yes, but as you said, in fact, data access by itself is not the aim at the end of the day. As you say, the therapeutic projects must benefit from it. So that's a kind of a dream, in fact, that data is accessible, as we say, within a day.
Yeah, very good. Okay, so we're about to ramp up our discussion. I want to thank you for the time. I think today we were able to discover some insight around data culture. I thank you for both of you. For sharing all this information. I thank our audience for their time also. I would like to invite you to join our LinkedIn page. As I was saying, this is a first episode from a series, so others will come, other interviews, other topics. So don't hesitate to subscribe to our page. And also you can download the ebook and Gartner reprint about the topic of data literacy and data culture. Thank you a lot for your time, and see you in the next session.